Hi everyone, welcome back to the kitchen. We're at it again. There's just so much food that is coming in from the garden, so much food to preserve, and today we're making pickles. Now I did get some pickles, already started some ferments. So if you'd love to watch a video on pickle ferments or just fermenting and things like that, let me know. I'd be happy to do a video on those if we have enough cucumbers coming in. So this is one of those jars that's going to be going for a ferment, but just kind of an idea of what they look like. And today I am going to be making pickles with a new to me method. I used it last year for the first time, and it's called low temperature pasteurization. Now the idea behind it is that you're cooking low and slow your pickles so that they stay crunchy, because the soggy pickle just seems to be such a problem. Now we tried it last year for the first time and it was a win. It was so awesome. I did not use any grape leaves, oak leaves, any alum, any of those pickle crisp, anything like that, and we still had crunchy pickles. In fact, we ended up going through all of our fermented pickles first. Typically we do that since they're in the fridge, and we had a family member who had a lot of ferments left, so we got some from them as well. And then we finally used up our pickles in the last few months, and they were amazing. So the cucumbers I'm going to be using today are the ones we are growing, the Parisian pickling cucumbers, and then we're also trying for the first time this year Armenian yard-long cucumbers, and they're not actually a yard long. This one's kind of big. It says to pick them when they're about an inch in width, and this one's a little bit big, but this one might be a little bit small. But we're gonna see how those turn out for the pickles. Now I'm going to be cutting them with this kind of zigzag cut. I'm not sure if there's an official name for that. There probably is. You can let me know. But with this zigzag cut, what I'm using is just kind of like a French fry cutter knife. In fact, these are knives that I got for my boys when they were little. We were very into the idea of Montessori type teaching, and it was a knife they could use. They could cut vegetables, and I didn't need to worry about them hurting themselves. So they're a little bit harder to use than your typical knife, but it gives this beautiful look to our cucumbers. So as we're getting ready to make these pickles with the low temperature pasteurization method, I'm just really excited about it because I feel like it's something not a lot of people know about, and it's something you can do without a lot of equipment. Now I would love if my Presto digital canner could do that method, but I don't need it to. This is just something I can simply do with a pot of water on the stove, and that's how I did it last year. Now this year I'm going to be doing it a little bit differently because I asked for a sous vide or sous vide, however you want to pronounce it, for Christmas. And the idea of that is most people cook like meat with them, but the idea is that I will be able to hold a nice low temperature in a pot without it being on the stove top. So I'm going to do that for my pickles, which is going to be kind of handy to just let this pot heat up, set it aside, and when they're ready, take them out, and these are going to be shelf stable. Now if you're worried about this method, it is approved by the National Center for Home Food Preservation, so something fairly new, I believe, on their website as well. I'm going to get this going, get the sous vide going, and we are going to make some delicious pickles. Oh, and they're going to be dill, in case you were wondering. I have so much dill growing. I picked a whole bunch, pulled some plants today, and we've got lots of dill to put in our pickles. All right, I think I got it. So I have been doing just a lot of reading. I was able to figure out what recipe I used last year. I used the Quick Fresh Pack dill pickle recipe from the National Center for Home Food Preservation. So if you're looking for a recipe, that's what I used last year, and I liked it, but I didn't love it, and the main thing I was saying is it didn't have garlic in it. So I started flipping through my ball book, going through every recipe, and I found a recipe called Grandma's Dill Pickles. So this is from the Ball, clearly my canning book is kind of a mess, but the Ball Complete Book of Home Preserving. Now my book is quite old, so I know some of these things change here and there, but the recipe I'm going to use is Grandma's Dill Pickles. Now this is just really interesting. So I checked every ingredient, and this recipe is almost completely identical to what I used last year as far as ingredients. All the, like the quantities, everything, almost identical, except for one thing. It calls for garlic, and it just says it's optional, where the quick fresh packed dill pickle recipe doesn't list it. We're going to get going on it. So we've got the cucumbers cut. That's the first step. Now I have a little bit of a variety of dill seed heads. So these are ones that we're already going to seed. And then I have some other heads that we're kind of going to flower. So the best point I found to use these is when they're about yellow, and I have a little bit of that, but not a ton. So I'm just going to be using kind of a mixture of these. Now this is going to give it so much flavor, and I think the heads give it a lot more flavor than the dill weed itself. So we'll save that, we'll dry that. Definitely something I will use in other areas of our life. More and more you can throughout the years, you learn little tips and tricks that help you. And one thing I found I'm always doing is I tend to use the same bowls a lot when I'm canning, and I always forget to weigh my bowl and figure out how much it weighs. So I actually have a note in the front of my canning book that my two-handled red bowl, this one, weighs 16 ounces. So I can weigh these cucumbers and get an idea of how much I have, so I make the correct amount of brine and I have the correct amount of ingredients prepped. So as I was getting ready to make this recipe, I really did think that the difference between the grandma's dill pickle recipe and the one I am using was that I did not need to wait and let my cucumbers sit, but this one actually does have my cucumbers sit. Now I did heat up my water, but like a tad, because the salt was not mixing in. So this is going to go on my cucumbers, and I guess I will meet you back here tomorrow morning and we will get these finally made. Now, while I am getting those put in the fridge for later, my ferments that I was talking about are sitting over here in the corner, and these have been sitting for 3 days, and I'm going to put these in the fridge. Now these will last like a few months if I can wait, if we can wait that long to eat them all. We eat pickles a lot. I do find that if I cut them this way, we eat them faster than the spears, and not in a bad way. Like, we like all of them, but these tend to be more useful as far as being able to put on a sandwich and things like that. I just need to take the top off. My problem with these is that there tends to be so much pressure, and then you got like the whole salt situation here with a metal ring. So I'm gonna see if I can find some plastic tops for these. That's why there's a cake pan under here. Oop, there it goes. I have just a weight is what I'm taking out. It's just a glass weight. Some of these have glass weights, some have jars just filled with water. I think I used rocks when I did sauerkraut this year. Really none of this stuff is necessary. I just have it and it's not in use for something else, so I might as well use it. So I really don't think you can have too many of these wide mouth lids. They're so handy, especially with that salt. You don't want that on there. So let's get these in the fridge. Maybe we'll be eating them tomorrow. Pardon the mess behind me. I'm hoping while these are cooking, I can clean up my kitchen a little. So I am using my sous vide I got for Christmas last year. I have only used it to pasteurize eggs so far, so I haven't done much with it, but it's really neat. So I think the brand is Innova. I can put a link in the description below. But you just enter, there's an app on your phone, so you can either do it manually right on it, but there's an app on your phone where you can make up your own recipes or pick recipes. So I made my own recipe for low temperature pasteurization pickles. The time I need to get, or the temperature I need to get to 180 degrees Fahrenheit, and the time it needs to cook at that for 30 minutes. So I've got the pot filled half with water. I need to get a bigger device for this. Like, some people use just really big tubs because the whole point is just to get the temperature there. I'm not too worried about my countertops. I don't have super fancy countertops, so I don't need to worry about hurting that. But I've got it filled half with water, got this on here, got my app going. All right, it's really heating up and I still have kind of a mess in here. So I'm going to kind of walk you through what I'm doing with my pickles, especially if you're new to canning. So I've got my jar all ready. I have my brine all heated up and I topped these off to about 1/2 inch. Actually, I went a little bit higher because I debubbled them and I knew they'd go down a little bit. So I debubbled them, just kind of got out all the bubbles, not poked holes, and got about a 1/2 inch headspace, wiped the rims, and now these are all ready with some clean flats and rings, and they're going to be going in here shortly. I'm going to get a couple ready because I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to fit 3 or 4 with these wide mouths. I'm going to kind of go from there. I don't want to get too many ready yet, and then them have to sit and wait. So this run time for the low temperature pasteurization is 30 minutes. This is much longer than a lot of other things. So this is kind of putsy, but this is what we're going to do to get crunchy pickles that are shelf stable, able to sit on our shelf. And honestly, if you're like me, I have plenty of other things I can be doing while this is cooking. So I'm going to get a couple of these filled up, ready to go in, and we'll be rolling. All right, I'm almost to 140 where I can start putting them in. And I wanted to be sure to mention, you know, the sous vide is very cool. Like, this is a really neat gadget to be able to do this so that I can do other things around my kitchen. But this is absolutely a process you can do on your stovetop. And the instructions are on the National Center for Home Food Preservation website. If you go to their website, and instead of going to canning, go to pickling, and you'll see a drop-down menu for low temperature pasteurization. They'll teach you how to do this on the stovetop. And I believe I did a video last year when we did our pickles because I didn't have this yet. I did those on the stovetop using this method. So I will link that video somewhere around here or in the description below, if I can find it, about how I did that, because it's just really awesome that we can kind of use these techniques, this knowledge in our favor. I know a lot of people have been asking about the electric canner I use and kind of the safety of it and things. And I think we're just kind of an ever changing, ever growing, ever learning thing. Like, I can't imagine a few years ago people making their pickles like this and them being considered safe. But really, it wasn't all that long ago that I myself was doing inversion canning, which is tipping your jars upside down and like is absolutely a no-no. And I was doing that because I didn't know any better. And that's something that hasn't been around for a long, long time in terms of safety. So we're ever learning, ever growing. Just all these new gadgets and new science helps teach us new ways to do things. What are we at? 100 and almost 37 degrees. All right, there we go, past 140. Start putting them in. Now, wide mouths aren't as tall as regular mouths, and that's fine. Let's see how full. I might only be able to get 3 in here just because my pie is so shallow. Let's see. Got an idea. All right, I just went ahead and scooped some of that water out. Oh goodness. Let's scoop some more out. So I am using just my shish kebab stick that I was debubbling with to check that this is about 1 inch. Now the whole idea is to be 1 inch or more, so I don't stress over having these 2 different height jars. I'm going to take a little bit out of here just because I don't want it boiling right over. It's better. All right, so we got 4 jars in there, 2 wide mouth, 2 regular mouth. 11 more to go. As you can see, it's really late. Well, we'll see what we can do. I might be setting an alarm and waking up every half hour to take these out. But we're almost up to 180. So at 180, my 30-minute timer is going to start counting down. And I will try to catch that on video so you can kind of see what it's doing. All right, we're just about to hit 180 degrees. There you go. And our timer is going. I would say maybe this took 20 minutes. So now we've got another 30 to go. It's hot, but not really too, well, I wouldn't want the kids to touch it. Good thing to do at night. All right, so I learned something really important that I did not know before this is I did not hear any beeping sound or anything. It probably beeped and I just missed it. But I knew my time was down to like about a minute. It's done. So these are gonna come up. All right, so I am all finished. I hope you enjoyed this video, learning how to low temperature pasteurize our pickles with the sous vide. And if you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and leave a comment down below if you want to learn more about how I use the sous vide for other things, or how I should, and more about pickles. Thanks for watching. Bye. Oh, glad you got to see me again.